you got your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by. Your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Salty. Good morning, Forrest. Good morning, Megan. Annette. Rondi, good morning. Who did I miss?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Rodney. I've typed into everybody else except for Rondi, so good morning. It's Teresa or Christine. Everybody coming in this morning, Joe.
Good morning, everybody. Where are we at? We're in Thursday morning. The last live morning show that I did was Monday morning. And a lot has happened in Lori's case since then, and we're going to get to that. But I just want to wish everybody a happy Thursday morning, and we're on the downhill side to the weekend, right? Since my Monday morning show, 9 new documents have been uploaded in Lori's case. So Megan was gracious enough to invite me on her show, and we went through some of them, but we didn't have time to go through all of them. But also for all the people that didn't catch that, I do kind of want to go briefly through them. But I also have a time goal here today. I just want to go like 90 minutes. I want to go till like noon-ish Eastern time. Hold on, I got to clear my throat. So I got a brief sports update like I always do today. The Sweet 16 kicks off in Men's March Madness. And BYU and Alabama face off, and Arizona and Duke, both of those in the East region. Maryland takes on Florida, and Arkansas takes on Texas Tech in the West region. But if you all know, one of the things that sucks people into March Madness is a lot of people have pools, right? They have bracket pools. Like at work, all year long, you cannot pay a single minute of attention to college basketball, and then all of a sudden you get sucked in and filling out a bracket. And I actually have 7 brackets in my 7 or 8 brackets in different groups. Not doing so hot. Good morning, Dizzy. Good morning, Divergent. All right, Irish Chin. They're a 2 seed. Alabama's a 2 seed. They could have been a 1 seed. They kind of went downhill towards the end of the season. Didn't perform as well, so I think they lost their 1 seed. But they're still a contender to go to the Final Four. But there are literally millions and millions of brackets that get filled out. Millions and millions of them. So how many perfect brackets were left after the first weekend. So we go from 68 teams to 64 teams to 32 teams to 16. So we're at 16. So that's what, we're 4 rounds in now. Dizzy, thank you. Thank you for that. Congratulations. All right. We are going to see, and this is, like I said, this is going to be a brief sports update of all the millions and millions of brackets. Has there ever been a perfect bracket filled out? And how many are left that are perfect now after the first 2 rounds? Let's find out.
Get this next. There's never been a perfect bracket in the history of March Madness tournament. And now we're learning how many are still flawless after last night's games. According to the NCAA, there is one just perfect bracket left for the men's tournament. That number includes entries from the most popular sites like ESPN, Yahoo Sports, and CBS. Now, on the women's side, it's a bit of a different story with roughly 2,500 perfect brackets left.
Okay, so you can also fill out brackets for the women's side. I think they continue their tournament tomorrow night, not tonight. That's it. One perfect bracket left out of millions and millions and millions. I hope you guys could hear the volume for that. Salty, I
Yeah,
assume
it was
you would.
fine.
Okay. I'm. Oh, I did. Oh, dang.
Hey,
Yes.
you'd be interested to know. So there's been a ton of new docks dropped in Idaho as well, and Miss Vallow was mentioned again.
Oh,
And one of
in Brian
yeah,
Koberger's case.
yeah, because I kept telling everybody, the whole time she's screaming, Ann Taylor in Idaho, I'm not getting Discovery. I'm like, y'all just wait, because Lori Vallow, got the DP off the table in Idaho for prosecution sanctions. What the prosecution failed to do in Idaho is they turned over a batch of jailhouse phone calls one day later than they were supposed to. And so Anne touches on that in her document to try to, because she's trying to get sanctions on the prosecution for Koberger. And this is the second time she has cited Lori Vallow's case in that process.
Oh, well, and you're going to update us all on that right after I
Oh,
conclude here,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I got a noon. I got to, because I've been pouring through documents as well. I'm still pouring through documents because there are just so many. You got to touch on the ones that matter. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that.
So I got everybody portaled to go over there after we're done here.
Oh, nice. So, thank you for that. Yeah, I posted up on my community tab as well that we'd be over here this morning. So,
I'm going to jump into the trial right here.
Okay.
Just showing a brief clip where she talks about filing motion. And I thought when I was sitting there behind her, it was like a motion, but she filed like 4 or 5 motions. And we did go over those Monday morning, so I'm not going to go over those again. We don't have time. But there were 2 new ones. There were like 7 new ones that came down after the live, and then there were 2 that came out, 2 more that came out yesterday, 2-minute entries. So let's listen to her talk about these filings she has.
All your questions that you want to be asked, and have one of your advisory councils ask those questions to you when you're on the witness stand.
So that's wrapping up talking about her testifying or not testifying.
Take the witness stand and just give a narrative. It'll be question and answer.
So am I supposed to reply to the 609? Is that what you're saying? And ask for it to be sanitized if I want that?
We can talk about that when we actually have a 609 hearing, but.
So that's something I didn't catch the first time. They're going to have a 609 hearing. They have not had a 609 hearing yet. So he's saying you don't have to file something. We're going to have a 609 hearing. I don't know when that's supposed to happen. Is that after jury selection?
You didn't catch that part before?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know when that's scheduled for.
Yeah, you can make that request orally. You don't have to do a written response. I indicated last time for your opening statement and closing argument and questioning witnesses that you'll pretty much be limited to the podium. We'll be in a different courtroom apparently for trial, but it'll be set up very similarly. Either your investigator or one of your advisory councils will approach witnesses with exhibits if you have to show a witness an exhibit. So I'll have to do the same.
So he just said that the investigator can approach witnesses. That's bizarre to me. I also didn't catch that the first time. I mean, I did. I consciously registered it, but it didn't subconsciously register to me like the actual actions of her investigator approaching a witness. I don't like that idea, but better than her approaching the witness, right?
Limitations on the state. The state would be confined pretty much to the area of the podium, and the state would have someone assist in approaching witnesses with exhibits and that sort of thing. All right.
I have some motions that I'd like to file. I've had a really hard time getting my paralegal
copies
is
for the
very
state?
busy. I don't have copies.
So that explains the handwritten part of it. This is the part that I wanted to focus on today, because I'm going to pull those up real quick, even though we went over them Monday, just like point them out. And then the state's filed responses to most of those, if not all of those. But I've had a really hard time getting my paralegal. She's really busy. So that's why she handwrote those. I don't necessarily know it has to do with the hours allotment, but that's why they're handwritten. Most of them are handwritten. I think one of them is typed out.
All right, we'll make copies and give them to the state, and then we'll file them, and depending on what they are, I'll rule on them as the response and replies come in, or we may have to address them.
Wait. We may have to address them how?
Depending on what they are. So plan on that question.
Oh, okay. He didn't really specify. All right, now we can start like getting into the actual motions. Stop that screen. And so I've got them kind of in mostly chronological order. I'll show her handwritten ones first, and then we'll get to the state's responses. So here's what she just handed over to the court that day. That was on the 18th. And it was filed later. Some of them didn't drop for a couple of days, so it took a while to collect them all. This was motion to disclose 404B evidence. And it's brief. This was motion for defendant to wear civilian clothing at trial. Motion for defendant to have removed restraints in trial. And that led us to learn all about shock vests. Motion to exclude state witnesses, Nancy Jo Hancock, Christina Atwood, and Kay Woodcock, which was a shocker to some of the people close to the case, Kay especially. So we'll see what the responses are, and we haven't seen the judge's filings yet. This is her last one. This one is typewritten, filed on the 20th. So this is 2 days after. So I guess her paralegal came back and gave her some more time to get this one filled out. She wants the jury questionnaire to specify that Lori Daybell denies the allegation. And later she's got it bolded and underlined, and I kind of appreciate that, even though she sometimes gets carried away with capitalizing and bolding and underlining things. This helps point out the change that she wants, so it's easy to read. Lori Daybell denies this allegation. So that's what she wants the jury questionnaire to be amended to read. Real happy. Good morning. Welcome in. Yeah, so if you were with me on Megan's live on Tuesday night, we did go through some of this in a little more detail. So make sure you check out her channel and that live. And I think she also uploaded a video that talks about it a little bit more. I haven't had a chance to check that out yet, Megan. Motion to this is a big one here. This this gets into her narcissism, I think. She's accusing the state prosecutor of prosecutorial misconduct. Trina K. That's the lady that's sitting to the right over there at the other table in all of these hearings. She claims that September 6th of 2024, the prosecutor directed Chandler PD and Gilbert PD to refuse to provide public documents to the defense. On January 30th of this year, she obtained and distributed attorney-client privileged communications between the defendant and her appellate attorney in Idaho on or about March 11th of this year. So this is just like a week before the March 18th hearing. So there was another hearing on the 11th. Trina K gave legal advice to defense witness Nate Eaton in an off-the-record conversation regarding how to avoid being served. How does she know this? How is she getting this information that Nate and Trina had a conversation about how to avoid being served with a subpoena?
There's no telling where she come up with that.
Well, I saw Nate in person at that hearing and was like, dude, what are you doing in the court? You could be a defense witness.
Somewhere. So maybe somewhere.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I mean, I understand why y'all don't understand why he's there, but I'm trying to figure it out. So, is there something in all of her discovery somewhere that shows a conversation and she's alluding to certain things? There has, I mean, she can't, there's something somewhere about a conversation and she's just trying to see if there's anything to that.
That's pretty quick discovery because she's claiming this conversation happened on March 11th, which is when I saw Nate and shook his hand, and he could have been served with a subpoena right there. So,
well, he's not afraid. He's got attorneys, but I'm wondering. I'm trying to just get to the gist of what she's actually arguing here and what may have been in this particular conversation and where she would have gotten that information. Did he interview somebody? You know what I mean? Because I'm not focused on her grammar and shit. I'm trying to figure out the case. So I don't know what conversation, what would be, I don't know what she's talking about right there. That's where my mind went, just trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. And my mind went too. I met him in person, so I don't see how he's trying to avoid a subpoena, and I don't think he is trying to avoid.
Oh God, no, he's not trying to avoid. He was right. He's pretty easy to find, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's not out there trying to avoid nothing. So she's got something wrong with her investigator in his subpoena process on serving that stuff. Take it up with the court.
I guess so.
Yeah, because the court they have to hire, they have a service that serves subpoenas.
Yeah. Yes.
And then the defense investigators help serve subpoenas. So there's a process. So that's on you, Lori.
Because the court has ignored the state's conduct, Trina K became more blatant in her disregard for her ethical obligation. This is sadly similar to her longtime boyfriend Juan Martinez's behavior in a high-profile case years ago. And my mind just went blank what that case was. Oh, Megan, okay. That it could be that simple, yeah. Megan says someone told Lori about Nate's comments on a live where he said, I'm going to talk with the prosecutor and see if we can't get that quashed.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, Megan, because I knew there had to be something she heard in an interview, something somewhere if it's pertaining to Nate. That makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you.
Yeah, and Trina, okay, so I got to get these facts straight because I just heard about this Tuesday night. Trina was living with her boyfriend Juan Martinez, and he was actually, I think he got in trouble in the Jodi Arias case. He actually did get in trouble, and he did have misconduct, I believe, in Jodi Arias's case. So I think she's kind of extending it to that. But just why this has nothing to do with your case, Lori. Why do you got to put that in there?
What do you mean? Citing another case?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with her
That's
case.
standard legal. Okay, it does. Because you have to cite case law.
She's not citing case
And
law.
I understand.
said-
I got you. She's citing things she thinks is court documents, dude. Take it with a grain of salt. She's apparently citing another case because she'll tell you right there. She talks about high profile cases. She's talking about other cases that are high. Yeah, so she's citing other cases that
Well,
are
she's just
relevant
making
to
it guilt by association, though. Trina K wasn't
I
involved in that other case.
understand.
Yeah, guilt by
I'm just
association doesn't work for me. Yeah,
a lot of the stuff I'm reading in Koberger's documents don't work for me either. It's
right.
it's legal jargon, dude.
This court is obligated to discipline officers of the court for misconduct. The actions that the defendant is seeking this court take as a result of misconduct are removal from the above cases, sanctions by the court, and disbarment by the state of Arizona. I don't think you can
I
get
think everybody
disbarred.
misunderstood what I was trying to say. Sorry.
We're just hashing it out, trying to get through her nonsense. Like, it can be difficult. So that was her only typewritten motion filed, I believe, in the last week. Now we started getting states' responses to her motions dropped later Monday and some Tuesday, and then a couple of minute entries dropped yesterday that we'll get to at the end. All right, so this is the state's response to the defendant's motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct assigned to the Honorable Justin Bresky. The state of Arizona, state responds to each of these three allegations on September 6th. So that was cited in Lori's motion that we just read. That was a specific date. The state became aware that the defense had made a public records request to the Gilbert Police Department. The state emailed defense counsel and asked them to request these items from the state. Instead of directly from the Gilbert Police Department. So I think the state's saying, we already had this stuff. You should be responding. You should be requesting it from us through discovery. The state emailed defense counsel, request it from the state. The documents listed in the defendant's public records request from the Gilbert Police Department. When the state obtained the documents that the defense had requested from Gilbert PD, the state disclosed them on October 1st. So that's interesting. I still think that she has a right to go directly to the police department, send her investigator to the police department for those public records, or send one herself. I don't know why that's a problem. I also don't know why that's prosecutorial misconduct to say, hey, come get these from us, or we're providing them to you on behalf of the Gilbert PD. On September 18th, the state became aware the defense had made a request to the crime analyst section of the Chandler PD. The state was advised that the defense request was improper because it was made to the crime analysis section rather than going through the public records request process. The state was advised the Chandler Public Records Specialist section spoke with Laura Moise, or Moisey, I don't know. It's spelled like Boise, but with an M, so it might be Moisey, who sent a request for the log records for all digital devices downloaded. The state was also advised that the Chandler Police Department did not know what was being requested as log records. Chandler Police Record Specialist section advised Laura Moise, I'm going to say Moisey, that when computer crimes detectives are involved in a case, their supplemental reports contain download information on all devices that the Chandler PD extracts data from. All reports relating to the download of Charles Vallow's devices had previously been disclosed to the defense. So it seems like she's asking for something that's already been disclosed, probably in that 22 terabyte hard drive. that the investigator has a problem duplicating and providing to the tech specialist, her expert witness. Additionally, all extractions relating to the download of Charles Vallow's devices have previously been disclosed. On September 19th, 2024, the state filed state's motion for defense to comply with Rule 15.4E, which I don't remember what that is. On October 15th, the court issued a minute entry denying the state's request. The state is unaware of any other public records request to either Chandler or Gilbert police departments by the defendant or her defense team. Good morning, Vicki. Welcome in. I need to take a little break from reading. I'm going to get bogged down. On February 6, 2025, the state disclosed Maricopa County Sheriff's Office jail calls made by defendant Lori Vallow Daybell between October and January, as well as jail messages and photos from defendant Lori Vallow Daybell's tablet for that same time period. Who did they disclose them to? On March 18, 2025, the defendant filed a motion to dismiss for violation of attorney-client privilege communications. The state is currently working on a response to this motion. I think we're going to get to that. I think the state hereby incorporates its response to defendant's motion to dismiss for violation of it as part of this response. I don't think we've seen that yet. I don't know if we're going to get to it. But who did they disclose them to? They don't say. But they do admit that on February 26th, they did disclose jail calls, jail messages, and photos. I'd like to know who they disclosed them to. On March 6th, 2025, defendant filed supplemental 15.2 notice to both cases. The state requested that separate notices be filed for each cause number, so the state would know which defenses and witnesses applied to which case. Makes sense. On March 7th, 2025, the state learned that defense noticed witness Nate Eaton is a reporter from Idaho. On March 12th, so 5 days later, defendant filed a supplemental 15.2 notice for the 2021 case and a separate, so she did separate them out, and a separate 15.2 notice on March 16th, 2025, the state filed a motion to preclude all witnesses noticed on the defense's supplemental 15.2 for this cause number. At the final trial management conference on March 18th, the court heard from the parties on this motion. The state advised that it did not have any contact information for most of the witnesses. Yes, we saw that in person. The state also advised that one of the defense witnesses, Nate Eaton, was a reporter. Nate Eaton contacted this prosecutor. Okay, so they did have a conversation. Nate Eaton contacted this prosecutor after court on March 18th, and this prosecutor called Mr. Eaton back. Mr. Eaton advised this prosecutor that his knowledge about this case comes from his interviews and investigation as a reporter. Mr. Eaton also advised that he had not been served with a subpoena by the defendant, and he hoped to be in court for this trial. This prosecutor advised Mr. Eaton that even if he was not served, he still could not be in the courtroom if he was a noticed witness, and the rule of exclusion was in place. This prosecutor advised Mr. Eaton that this prosecutor would try to interview the witnesses and file a motion to preclude those that should be precluded at the end of next week. So what was the date on this? This was the 23rd. So we should be seeing something dropped on this if the prosecutor got around to interviewing the witnesses and filing a motion to preclude those witnesses that should be precluded. That should be dropping any time now. This prosecutor did not advise Mr. Eaton how to avoid service of defendant's subpoena. That makes sense because Mr. Eaton is not trying to avoid getting a subpoena. So that's that. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to go. This one's only 3 pages long, so this one is not going to take too long. Good morning, Tracy. Jeff, good morning. Welcome in. I'm boring the crap out of people right now by just reading these documents, these legal documents. If y'all need a nap later, you can like join the replay crew and just like play this and fall asleep. So this is the response to the defendant's motion to exclude state witnesses. We saw those 3 witnesses that she asked to be excluded. The state of Arizona, through undersigned counsel, requests the court deny the defendant's request, of course, Nancy Jo Hancock, Christina Atwood, and Kay Woodcock. The defendant argues in her motion that the witnesses are not for factual testimony. They only have to offer speculation and hearsay. Lainey, good morning. Welcome in. The defendant writes, among other things, that these 3 witnesses lack personal knowledge. The defendant seems to argue that therefore the witnesses are not relevant and should be excluded. State presumes defendant means precluded. She just got corrected. The state disputes these allegations and provides that these objections are more properly raised at trial, not by a pretrial motion. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. A pretrial motion. The state disputes these allegations and provides that these objections are more properly raised at trial, not by a pretrial motion. Okay. I gotcha. So the state goes, we call Kay Woodcock, and she goes, I object. And then they let the jury out and they have a little discussion about it. And then the judge makes his ruling right there instead of a pretrial motion, I guess is how it usually must go. The defendant is charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree premeditated murder. The state can use both direct and circumstantial evidence to establish that the murder was premeditated. Oh, and if the witness does get on the stand and the state asks them a question, she can object there on the grounds that it's hearsay. On a question by question basis. That makes sense too. The courts have long held that although motive is not an element of homicide, it is relevant. Yes, motive is relevant to a homicide charge and trial. The fact that the defendant had some motive, good or bad, for committing the crime is one of the circumstances which, together with other circumstances, may lead the fact finder to conclude that he did in fact commit the crime. Okay, she's citing case law here, State versus Hunter. It's actually an Arizona case. And she's pulling that out of the Handbook on Criminal Law. That's probably a pretty good citation. The fact that the defendant had some motive, good or bad, for committing the crime is one of the circumstances which, together with other circumstances, may lead the fact finder to conclude that he did in fact commit the crime, whereas lack of any discernible motive is circumstance pointing in the direction of his innocence. Motive means an opportunity, right? Something like that. The state submits that the motive for this murder is that Mrs. Vallow, now Daybell, wanted to kill her husband so she would obtain the proceeds from his life insurance policy, Social Security benefits, and be free to marry her current husband, Chad Daybell. Each of these witnesses is relevant to establish premeditation and motive. Submitted March 23rd, 2025. Moonchild, welcome in. All right, I'm going to get caught up on chat just a second. Yeah, Lori is extra. Right. Pammy K. Woodcock lacks personal knowledge of the case. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good response. That is a good response by the state for sure. And we got a couple more to go. I think we got two more responses. This is the state's response to the defendant's motion to disclose all 404B evidence. Let me zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. So the state of Arizona, through undersigned counsel, responds to the defendant's request to disclose all 404B evidence. The state has advised that it intends to admit evidence that the murder was committed for financial gain and allow the defendant to marry another person. Okay, so that's what they just said in the last paragraph of that last motion that we read, or the last response that we read to her motion. The state will admit this evidence to prove the murder was premeditated and to show the motive for the murder was to obtain the proceeds from a life insurance policy for Charles Vallow, Social Security payments for her surviving child and herself as a mother, and to allow her to marry the person with whom she was having an affair. Wow, that's in a state filed court document. But we know that. I mean, we who follow the case know that was going on. Oh, I think, yeah, we've talked about it before. The hypocrisy. Kresha and I talked about it last night when we were going over the Glenn Pace memo. We got into the hypocrisy of what was going on with Lori and Chad. And that they weren't the only people that were in that circle, in that group, that were having an affair. Jeff, that's a good question. When the police came to investigate the murder and she was standing there in front of her car with Tylee flashing her flirty smile, and acting all nonchalant and casual while her husband had just been shot to death like an hour and a half before that. Anyway, she said, yeah, we just moved in like 3 weeks ago. So it's possible the house was bare because they hadn't filled it with furniture yet when they moved in, because it was an estranged situation. They were estranged spouses, and Charles was still living, I believe, in Houston at the time. And he was paying the rent on that house, but I don't know who was responsible for furnishing it. So that's my answer, Jeff. I don't know everything about the case, but I do know that they had just recently moved into that house and they were estranged. Right. Yeah. Janelle. Right. Yes. That gets into that crazy wacko doomsday cult belief thing, the visions of glory, living, having been married in previous lives. It's still, according to LDS rules, is a huge no-no. You don't have premarital relations and you don't have affairs. It's like one of the biggest no-nos, at least the way I was raised in the Mormon church. It's one of the biggest no-nos. Like, I think you might be able to be excommunicated for that, maybe. You can definitely be excommunicated for unaliving your spouse and kids. But they hadn't yet in the beginning of the affair and for several months into the affair. Anyway, getting back to page 2 of this response. Evidence of the premeditation and motive will be shown through witnesses and iCloud documents. The state will call a witness from Banner Life Insurance Company to show that the defendant contacted the victim's insurance company. And we've either seen the text messages or heard the phone call. I think it was text messages where Lori panics and contacts Chud and says, oh my gosh, I'm not the beneficiary. So she did and I think we have the phone call from Banner Life Insurance Company too, actually.
We have her
with
on the call where she called the company.
Yeah,
We listened to that.
right. Okay. Yeah. There are so many details in this case that I have trouble keeping track of. I can't imagine being your own attorney in this too. I mean, she doesn't have to be her own attorney. She can have her two, what are called now advisory councils, handle the case for her. But she denied that. So it's all you, Lori. It's all you. State will call a witness from Banner Life to show that the defendant contacted the insurance company within 4 days of the murder. So after somebody is unalived by your brother in your house, it's usually like 2 or 3 days, and then you have a funeral. So is it like the day of or the day after the funeral that she's calling the life insurance company? And like, how long does it take the coroner to put together a death certificate and release that to her? Because the life insurance company is going to want to see the certificate of death and the coroner's report and all of that stuff. So, I mean, she wasted no time to collect the proceeds because she believed she was the sole beneficiary. During this recorded call by the defendant, she provided a different story about how her husband died by telling the life insurance representative that her husband's death was an accident. When the defendant learned she was not the beneficiary, she advised the person she was having an affair with. So I talked to the insurance company. He changed it in March. So it was probably Ned before we got rid of him. Right. Charles wasn't like suspicious of you at all and changing it out of suspicion that your behavior is weird. Charles knew. He knew. And he still tried. He still tried to get her help. They can't tell me who it is, of course, but it's done. I'll still get the $4,000 a month from Social Security. I wonder if this case will affect that. Like, is she right now at this moment in time getting the $4,000 a month from Social Security? That's a really good question. Well, I think I asked myself good questions, but Pokemon, welcome in. Pokemon, welcome in. Yes, before we got rid of him, Janelle. Yes. This statement by the party opponent about the life insurance proceeds is evidence of the premeditation. The defendant later contacted the sister of Charles Vallow to confront her about the fact that Charles Vallow changed his life insurance beneficiary. The state will present testimony from an investigator with the Social Security Administration. Okay, this may answer that. And iCloud documents to show that the defendant was aware of how much money from Social Security she would receive for her son JJ and herself as a result of the death of Charles Vallow before she went to speak with anyone at Social Security. The testimony and evidence further support that the defendant premeditated the murder of her husband. The state will present testimony from witnesses who are friends with the defendant. Oh my. Friends with the defendant and iCloud documents to show that the defendant used her. How would you like to have been one of her friends and get called up there? We saw that in Idaho, so we know that they've had to go through that. And she's putting everybody through it again for nothing. She is spending the rest of her life in jail, in prison, no matter what. And she's putting everybody through it again for nothing. To show that the defendant used her religious belief system as a way to justify the premeditated murder of her husband, Charles Vallow. The witnesses and documents were disclosed to the defendant on December 12, 2023, January 9th, 2024, and February 6th, 2024. Oh, Moonchild. I'm so sorry. Wow. This case, Lori, evokes a lot of emotions in people. Does it not? Shift. Scroll up. There we go. All right. This is the state's amended final trial management conference statement. All right. So this isn't a response. I'm going to see real quick if you all can hang on just for 2 seconds. If I can find that that telephone call that was Lori, and I know we've listened to it before, but it's like relevant in the moment due to that thing we just heard. So hang with me just for 2 seconds, if you could, please. Box 10 has it. Yes. Nice. Good job, Justin. He's always on the ball. I am going to add it to my playlist, though, because I know the playlist was working just fine, and I don't know if I pull this up separately, if it still will. Oh, you know me and my audio difficulties. So go to my channel, go to my playlist, go to today's playlist, bloop, bloop through the previous ones. All right, let's see if this works. Back in StreamYard. No. Present. Wait. What's going on? What's going on? Now it's not working. There we go. Good grief. Share. And volume on max. And play.
Claims Department, this is Robin. May I have the policy number?
Sure. It is.
Are you calling in reference to a death claim?
Yes.
Okay, one moment, please. May I have the name of the insured?
L. Charles Vallow.
And who am I speaking with?
This is Lori Vallow.
And your relationship to the insured?
He's my husband.
Okay, one moment. Okay, ma'am, I'm just going to need to ask you a few questions so that I can open the claim, and then I can go over the claim procedure with you and answer any questions that you may have afterwards.
That would be great.
Okay, first of all, may I have your daytime phone number, please?
Sure.
Remember, we just saw in that last hearing, or in that last motion or response from the state, that this is 4 days after Charles was murdered. 4 days.
And what was the date of Mr. Vallow's passing?
July 11th.
And what was the cause of his passing?
Well, he was shot.
Okay.
So I don't know how I want to put that.
Okay. All right. And I hate to ask,
don't-
but is it?
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't-
just say yes or no. Was it a homicide?
No, it was an accident.
What? What? We've got to replay that again. Was it a homicide? No, it was an accident. You know that the life insurance company is going to want to see the coroner's report, and the medical determination will be homicide because Alex shot him, and that's how he died. Alex even said on the phone call to 911, I shot him. He also said in self-defense, but that doesn't make it an accident. I'm going to back up just a second so we can hear that again, because that's just mind-blowing.
Yes or no? Was it a homicide?
No, it was an accident.
An accident. Okay.
Lady
And what
lying
state
to the
did he
insurance
pass away
company.
in?
Arizona.
Okay. Okay, just bear with me for one moment. I just need to pull up a few other things. Okay. Are you aware of who the primary beneficiary of the policy is?
It's me.
Okay. And may I have your, I'm sorry, one moment. My computer just went away for a second. Okay. Okay, ma'am. That is all the information I need to open the claim. What we will do now is review the policy and the file to confirm the beneficiary information and determine the claim requirements that we will need to settle this particular claim. Once we have completed our review, we will prepare a claim packet to send to the named beneficiary once that has been confirmed. And the claim packet can either be mailed or emailed or faxed. How would you like to receive a correspondence?
Lori's getting ready to have her mind blown and be very disappointed.
Email would be great.
Okay, and what is your email address? .com. Okay. All right, so you should receive an email from our office within the next 3 to 5 business days or sooner. It will have the instructions listed. Once you receive the information, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to give our office a call, and then we can go from there. Okay, is there anything I can help you with at this time?
That's it, I think.
Okay, ma'am. Well, I'm very sorry for your loss. You take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, so they didn't go over. Did they go over the fact? I kind of want to replay that one more time.
Claims department, this is Robin.
What happened at the end of that call?
Be mailed or emailed or faxed. How would you like to receive a correspondence?
Email would be great.
Okay, and what is your email address? .com. Okay. All right, so you should receive an email from our office within the next 3 to 5 business days or sooner. It will have the instructions listed. Once you receive the information, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to give our office a call, and then we can go from there.
Oh, okay. She didn't find out that she wasn't the beneficiary until she got an email from them 3 to 5 business days later. I imagine that's probably in Discovery somewhere as well, that email.
Okay, is there anything I can help you with at this time?
That's it, I think.
Okay, ma'am. Well, I'm very sorry for your loss. You take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, so we have a couple more PDFs to go over, because we have 2 documents that came down yesterday that we haven't gone over yet. So that's it, I think. All right. Is this where we were? All right, this is where we were. This is one that was filed on the 23rd. So what was that, Sunday, I think? Yeah, I think the state does some filings on Sunday night. The state's amended final trial management conference statement. The management conference statement for the above entitled action. So this is the 2021 case. 1, list charges and sentencing range, including any sentence enhancements alleged. Count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, C1F dangerous. So it does have an enhancement. and with the possible penalty of life without the possibility of release on any basis until the service of 25 years. So it's 25 years to life for that count. Settlement status, plea offer, no plea offer. What? But do you think the state could do the families a favor here and actually offer her a plea? Or do you think they talked about it and she's just like, hell to the no, I'm not pleading anything out. I want to get up there in court for 6 weeks. And it's going to be 10 to 12 weeks by the time we get through the 2022 case, right? Number of trial jurors and alternates, 12 plus 4 alternates. The list of potential witnesses. Here we go. Chandler Police Department has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 witnesses. 10 witnesses from Chandler PD, 3 of them retired. Chandler Fire Department, so those are going to be the first responders. Department of Public Safety, Office of the Medical Examiner, Derek Baumgartner. I wonder if they're going to go in chronological order. That's the way that I like to see a trial go down. So take me to the very beginning. Take me to the 911 call from Alex. Take me to the police officers that first showed up and made sure the scene was safe, and then to the EMS that tried to see if there was, how bad he was. Office of the Inspector General, so that's going to be the Social Security thing. Mark, sorry. Banner Life Insurance, Robin Smith Scott, the custodian of records. Civilians, Christina Atwood, Adam Cox, Nancy Jo Hancock, Serena Sharp, and Kay Woodcock. The families can tell you, I know who Adam Cox is, I know who Kay Woodcock is, and Megan, your channel told me who the others were the other night, but I'm going to have to take notes to be able to remember it. I had to do that with Lori's list. I had to have, I think Kresha took me through that, and I took notes so I would remember who the witnesses were on her list. Yeah, Janelle, right? We watched that 911 call, and those people come, and the police officers come in, and Alex come out of the house, and I was disturbed by the way that they handled that case. And then we watched the interviews after that, and those were also alarmingly unserious. Oh, you're going to make me pull up Lori's list. Oh, no. I wasn't prepared for that. Oh my gosh. I might have it. I know I have it, but I might be able to find it. I don't know how long, because my organization in all of these court filings has had to evolve over time. So I name the files a lot more accurately now than I used to name them. It's in one of her motions, and I can't remember which one it was. All right, let me get through this. Squirrel. All right, turning back away from the squirrel. Brief statement of case. Estimated trial days, 5 weeks. Brief statement of case to be read to jury. The state alleges that on July 11th, 2019, at approximately 7:37, Charles Vallow arrived at 5531 South Four Peaks Place, Chandler, Arizona, to pick up his son from the residence where his wife, Lori Vallow, now Lori Daybell, was living. The state further alleges that Lori Vallow Daybell conspired with her brother Alex Cox to kill her husband, Charles Vallow, so she could marry Chad Daybell and obtain money from Charles Vallow's life insurance policy and from Social Security. Special jury voir dire questions to be filed separately. List of standard jury instructions plus original and 1 copy of special to be filed separately. All right. That was the state's amended final trial management conference statement. These are the two that dropped yesterday. They're not huge, like earth-shattering, mind-blowing filings, but every single filing that comes out, we want to take a look at, right? So, Lori and minute entry, Lori N. Daybell, prisoner number G062213 in the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. The court has received and reviewed a request from the Arizona Republic to have a still camera present in the courtroom to take still photos during the trial. Pursuant to court's March 11, 2025 minute entry ruling regarding media coverage, it is ordered denying the request because allowing additional cameras in the courtroom will cause unnecessary distractions, and the Arizona Republic can pull images from the camera feed for still publication. Oh, that's the Arizona Republic. Oh my. I may know somebody that works there. So that's it. Arizona Republic wanted to have a still camera in, and they said, nope, can't do it. They could hire somebody to do courtroom sketches, or like Judge Boreski says, they can pull still images from the video feed from the pool camera. All right. No big deal there. This was also filed yesterday. Yeah, today's 27th. That's the 26th. Another minute entry. Lori and Daybell, prisoner G062213. The court has received and reviewed the following: defendant's motion for defendant to wear civilian clothing at trial, dated March 14th, 2025. Court has also received the Maricopa County Sheriff Jerry Sheridan's response to defendant's motion to appear in civilian clothes, and the defendant's motion for the defendant to have removed restraints in trial, dated March 14th, 2025. We've reviewed all those, and the non-party Maricopa County Sheriff's Office response to the defendant's motion to have removed restraints. So we went over all of those on Monday morning, and I think on Megan's channel too, Tuesday night. The court previously denied the defendant's request to appear at all hearings in civilian clothing, except that the defendant would be permitted to be dressed out in civilian clothing during jury selection and trial. The court affirms that order, and the defendant may appear in civilian clothing to be provided or coordinated by her advisory counsel. It is ordered granting in part and denying in part the defendant's motion to have removed restraints. The defendant shall not wear any visible shackles and or handcuffs in the courtroom during jury selection and trial. When the jury is present, handcuffs may be used during prolonged breaks in the courtroom and when the defendant is being transported to and from the courtroom. The sheriff's office will be permitted to use the use of the RACC vest, which we went over in detail, and one unarmed detention officer present near defense counsel's table. Because the defendant is representing herself and will have some limited latitude to move about the well of the courtroom, a leg brace will not be required. However, at the sheriff's discretion, one or more armed sheriff's deputies may be positioned near the exits at the rear of the courtroom for the duration of jury selection and trial presentation. Oh, so they are going to put an armed deputy in the courtroom near the exit. I'm going to catch up. Let's get through this. Let's see. We've still got a couple of minutes. Maybe I can find Lori's witness list. Mrs. Ed, welcome in. If they had listened to Charles, yes. If they had listened, if the police had taken Charles's claims seriously, I mean, they did bring her in for an evaluation, and she snowed that dude that was doing her evaluation. I mean, that's just the way she is. I think I've seen some of that video, and she was just her usual flirty, charming self. And she was evaluated and determined that she wasn't a threat to herself or others. I'm pretty sure I heard that like directly on that video, right? That he said, I don't deem you a threat to yourself or others. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Give me 3 seconds of patience, please. 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Because we did get through those documents faster than I thought we would. Yeah. We did just watch this video the other day, but we've got time to watch it again. So I'm going to add it to my playlist. See if I can get back to it faster this time. The more you practice it, the better you get at it, right? Channel, playlists, boom, 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 boom. All right, we're ready to roll that. So she's getting questioned, and some of it's going to be blurry. So they blurred out some of it for, protection of people's. I think her at least one of her children were with her. I think maybe Tylee was with her. I think. All right, let's try this. And it's going to be quiet at first too. I don't think we hear the volume until a little bit into it, I think.
And then the order also, which needs to be verified by my sergeant. So we will facilitate the transfer of the person and the phone. And while we go give the mental health petition to my sergeant and she's verifying it, you do whatever you feel you need to do. Okay. How we're going to get that to go away, I do not know. You may need to you can probably contact Community Bridges, that's CBI. Community Bridges. We have one. I don't know if you even want to just go up there at Mesa Drive and Baseline. It's off Javelina, which is the street before you get your kids to school.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
I'm going to play it again. Like this is minutes into the conversation. Minutes in. This is like the 2 minute and 19 second mark into this video.
Community Bridges. We have one. I don't know if you even want to just go up there at Mesa Drive and Baseline. It's off Javelina, which is the street before you get anybody else. You get your kids to school.
Dude, how wrong were you? So this is probably around the time, I think, and I'm not going to tell the whole story, but Charles was out of town and he came back and his truck had been moved and like $30,000 taken out of his bank account. But before he was shot by Alex. So we have the body worn camera footage of that interaction too, when the police show up to the house and he opens the garage door and the garage is empty. And this is all related to that, like that time period.
Right. I don't know, but I'm not going to place that. I'm just going to let you know that we are required, if you're here, that we will, even against with force, if we have to, right. If you're still here when it's approved, we'll have to take you to CBI.
Okay. And what is it called? I'm just going to write it down.
Community Bridges.
Okay.
That's where we take you. Now, I don't know who he went through to get the order taken care of.
That's what I'm saying. How do you even get that? He got that in the middle of the night? How do you get something in the middle of the night?
It's family members can do it for other ones who have like drug dependency or not getting help. mental health
Yeah, but how would he get? He had
issues.
to come here. Isn't stuff closed?
It's not here. There are places you can go.
Yeah, USA, I get that. So USA Libertarian says involuntary psych holds aren't pre-crime. She probably didn't have any indications she was psychologically unstable. I think people close to her probably may disagree with that, but this is a police officer that is saying and making the determination, like 2 minutes after meeting her, I don't think you're a threat to anyone. So he's not trained to do that. So yeah, it's probably a gray area, and it's definitely something that somebody is better, more knowledgeable about the law. I'll say that somebody that is more knowledgeable about the law and psych holds can probably educate me more on this, but I'm just disturbed by the fact that this is a police officer that Charles has said, hey, she needs to be checked out. So yeah, the police can only do so much, but for him to just make that determination 2 minutes after meeting her, I don't think you're a threat to anybody. You got your kids in school. I mean, it's just a wild assertion, like just after meeting her.
So
How would you think of something?
I don't know. I don't
Okay,
know.
sorry.
So
It's called community bridges. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? I'm just gonna write it down.
so I'm
But
going
they'll be
to.
looking for me. That's the whole thing. Like, that's what.
We don't bust down doors to get you, but we will knock. So if you see police officers knocking, talk to them through the door if you really don't want to go.
You are going to get a padded room.
So officers don't kick down.
Who was that? So she leaned over. Who I want to know who's sitting next to her. Is that Tylee that's in this interview with her? She leans over and she like rubs her hair. She talks about going, is there a gym where I can go work out? Like, I mean, just bizarre behavior to me, but looking back in time, right? Like if you saw this and didn't know that she was a murderer, would you think that? It does seem a little detached from the seriousness of what's going on. She's always, in all of these body cams, she's always detached from the seriousness of what's going on.
Doors to serve these. They're civil orders. They're for your safety. It's not illegal. If it was because you're a danger to yourself, it's not illegal.
Well, Tylee, if that's Tylee just said you're going to end up in a padded room, and she laughs. And, we know they didn't always have the best relationship. Colby talks about that a lot on his lives, that Lori and Tylee had quite a few disagreements and did not have the best relationship. I mean, that's typical mother-daughter. That happens a lot, but usually the daughter doesn't end up, I don't even want to think about it right now. I'm just going to keep playing.
Illegal, or it's not illegal to kill yourself. So we don't go busting down doors. But if we make contact with you, there's nothing separating us. At that point,
You can
we
just
know
say
it's
anything
you.
you want about someone and get a mental health order against them.
Not so if it's a family member, and depending on what he told the doctors, they may usually they'll do it just to be safe. Otherwise,
So
say
you can
something
they're
happens to
suicidal or
you,
something, and
right?
Get it.
So something happens, you do something to yourself, he's going to go after those doctors. I told you, you didn't sign the order. She should have gotten help.
Right.
That sort of thing. So
Do
there
you
becomes
know?
some liability.
Do you know what he said?
No.
No.
1 Frank 17. 10:15. Edward 296.
Okay, so that must be Melanie Gibb over there to the right. I think that's the Melanie you're talking about. And Tylee in the middle, and then Lori off to the left. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the video that she's talking about. She wants to see the full 2 hours.
Yeah, this is the one I sent you that I told you I thought was it.
Okay. Well, you're right. Chad is telling me you were 100% right. This is it. and we're only able to see 15 minutes of it. So
Right.
if it went
So
on,
the day she brought it up is the day I looked for it and found it.
this is it.
Yep.
Just not 2 hours. I wonder.
Right.
There's another camera in this interview room though, recording. So she's not wrong about that. I just don't know if there's 2 hours of it. I wonder what went on for that 2 hours. Like, is she sitting there just waiting? Like, do they have to put her on a brief hold or call somebody
There
in?
may be 2 hours of it, but there may not be a whole 2 hours of it out there like she's claimed.
Right.
Yeah, I was talking to someone. That's why I didn't answer. Yeah, we're aware. Let me step out. I'll talk to you. All right. Excuse me for a second.
Yeah.
I will come with you.
Temple. No, you can entertain them.
Okay.
Got any knock jokes?
He dances really nice.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good, like little performance.
Here we go.
Show us
Okay.
your equipment. How- She's gonna apply to the academy. She's now a high school graduate, right? At 16.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah, well, she got her GED, so she's moving on with life.
You really want to be a police officer?
Hey, Joe,
No.
We'll look forward to this.
Yes.
did you know Nate filed an emergency, what's it called here? An emergency motion?
I did not.
It's on his Twitter right now. And Kay's responded.
Okay. While we're playing this, I'm going to zoom over to the court docs and see if it's been filed in the court docs yet.
Well, if he goes straight to Nate's Twitter page, it's right there, and he's got the document right there on the post.
All right. I'll work on pulling up Twitter because we need to wrap it up here in like the next 10 minutes or less. All right.
Stuff, man. I'm actually pretty new myself, so I just got on. It's like my first month on training after out of the academy, so that's why he's doing a lot of the talking.
Yeah, that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, so it's because, like, honestly, this is kind of a more unique call than what I've seen. This is a little bit different. I mean, like, well, and what's unique about it is either the theft or the petition was usually a separate deal. I mean, the fact that all of a sudden he stole your phone and then all of a sudden there's a petition out there too, it's like, well, so I've seen one or the other. I haven't seen both in one.
Well, that's what he was saying then when he texted you that. I'm so sorry I had to do it. I was worried about you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably what
Like
I meant.
he literally hadn't seen JJ for like 6 hours and he'd been at school, so it's not like he was in any kind of.
Well, he was out of town too.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's a good thing you did come in because it will be a very one-sided story. So it's always good to kind of see what's going on.
That was very smart. Yeah, Jason.
Wait, he's talking about one side of the story. I'm going to replay it one time and then we can stop watching this video because we've seen it before. But
And he'd been at school, so it's not like he was in any kind of.
Well, he was out of town too.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's a good thing you did come in because it will be a very one-sided story. So it's always good to kind of see what's going on.
That was very smart. Yeah, Jason's.
it would be a one-sided story. It would be a one-sided story. All right, hold on. I can close that out. Then we can go to this one. Oh boy. So yes, I found Nate Eaton's post. Last edited 5:17 p.m. March 26th. So it was last night. I've been looking for documents all morning and these haven't been uploaded yet, but let's take a look at what he posted last night. In response to Lori Vallow Daybell including me on her witness list, I filed this emergency motion today, which is yesterday. In the Superior Court of the state of Arizona in and for the county of Maricopa. This won't let me zoom in. So Nate Eaton's emergency motion for protective order. Nate Eaton appearing pro se. Oh, he doesn't have an attorney representing him? Or the attorney helped him prepare this document probably, and he just filed it on his own. Nate Eaton appearing pro se. I got one up on you, Lori. I can do pro se too. Files this emergency motion for protective order requesting the court strike his name from the witness list of the defendant Lori Ann Daybell pursuant to Arizona Rule of Criminal Procedure 15.5A2 or any other applicable law or rule as follows. I have learned that I have been identified as a potential witness by Ms. Daybell for both this case and CR 2022. I am a reporter for East Idaho News, and I have no firsthand knowledge of information regarding the crimes of which Ms. Daybell has been accused. My involvement in any matter related to Ms. Daybell has only been as a reporter. It is my understanding that by simply listing me as a potential witness, I can be barred from the courtroom during Ms. Daybell's trials. This seems to be a clear attempt by Ms. Daybell to use the rules of criminal procedure as a pretext simply to keep me out of the courtroom. That's what everybody's been saying all along. I'll download this and we can maybe get a better look at it, but you can get it off of Nate Eaton's Twitter account. He's the direct source in this. But I am going to download the one once it appears in her court records, court filings. I am going to download it from there. Then it'll have that little stamp at the top right that says when it was filed. Anyway, it's a pretext to keep me out of the courtroom and interfere with my ability to report. Such an effort clearly interferes with my First Amendment rights as a reporter and the First Amendment rights of my employer to view and report on the events of the trial in the same manner as any other member of the media. Thus, listing me as a witness results in a harm far outweighing any claimed usefulness. There is no legitimate usefulness to listing me as a witness. Further, that risk of harm cannot be eliminated by a less substantial restriction of discovery rights, as it is not the disclosure of my identity that is harmful, but the abuse. Yeah, a lawyer helped him write this. Further, that the risk of harm cannot be eliminated by a less substantial restriction of discovery rights, as it is not the disclosure of my identity that is harmful, but the abuse of the rules of criminal procedure to list me as a witness in order to interfere with my constitutionally protected rights and duties. Therefore, I respectfully request the court deny/strike Ms. Daybell's attempt to list me as a potential witness, submitted March 26, 2025. So that's what everybody thought. She's just doing it to keep him out of the courtroom. Like, I've seen that so much in chat lately that it makes sense. It makes sense to all of us. All right, guys. I'm going to scoot. Salty, do you have last minute thoughts before you head over to your live?
Just Lori, wait for her trial to start, for her to get through all these last minute motions that she's trying to get done. She's not going to achieve a whole lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to make his rulings. Those should be coming down pretty quick, though, with the trial coming up. So,
yeah, it's got to be this week. It's got to be today or tomorrow. I'll keep you all posted. Stay tuned. I'll probably post stuff on Twitter because I'm probably not going to do another live till maybe Saturday morning. So if it comes down today or tomorrow, I'll have them Saturday morning. How's that?
That sounds good.
All right. Everybody head over to Salty's channel. I'm going to portal you there right now.
I go in an hour.
Oh, in an hour?
Yeah, I go in an hour at noon.
Oh, it's noon. I thought it was noon Eastern. I thought it was noon Eastern.
So if I say noon, I'm on my time. You guys I always say noon CST. It's up to you to figure out your time.
All right.
But now I had to give myself time to finish doing what I was doing, and I got to eat lunch.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'll see you guys in an hour.
Yep. Well, everybody head over there. Thanks, everybody in chat. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for
everyone.
joining us, hanging with us through these new court docs. And everybody have a wonderful Thursday.
Good morning. Good morning. Hope you got your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference. Be sure to come back by. Good morning, hope you got your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know. Good morning, thanks for saying hi. Together we make a difference, be sure to come back.